Listen, Joshua chapter 1, verse 1 says this. He's talking to Joshua. Joshua's taken over from Moses. He's about to go into the promised land, but there's giants in the land. There's walled cities like Jericho. There's all kinds of things happening there. They're going to have to fight war after war after war. It's going to be a long time to battle. But he's promising Joshua that he's going to go before him. I just want to say this to all of you that know the Lord, that Jesus Christ is your Lord. Listen to me. Every step you take, God goes before you. He said, be it done unto you according to your faith. If you believe God's going before you, then you know He's there before the next day starts. He's there before you go to your job. He's there before you go to that interview, or before you go up for that raise, or whatever the story. You face that circumstance or situation tomorrow. He's already gone before you. Now, those who believe it, man, will walk in it. And that's what He's trying to tell Joshua. Joshua, I'm going to be with you, He said, as I was with Moses. He said, I'm going to be with you. So He's making Joshua some promises, but before that, He wants to encourage him. And so He says this. He says, be strong and of good courage. Now, I know we got the KOTM kids here tonight, so I want to hear you say, be strong.
Go get my spray.
Oh, come on now. I need to hear some 180 students and some KOTM kids scream it loud. Say, be strong.
Be strong.
That's what I'm talking about. And He said, be strong and of good courage. Say, have courage. Be strong and have courage. And you would think He's talking about going to war, because He's about to go to war. People's lives are going to be on the line, and they're not going to war shooting at each other from across the field. They're going to war in hand-to-hand combat with swords and spears, chariots. I mean, it's face-to-face combat. And He says, be strong and of good courage. And you would think He's talking about war, but He's not. He said, for unto this people shall thou divide. Let me read it out of the Amplified. It reads a little easier. It says, be strong and of good courage. Be very courageous. Be not afraid. Neither be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Wherever you go, Joshua, He says, I'm with you. Then He says this. He says, this book of the law shall not depart out of your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written in it. For then you shall make your way prosperous, and then you shall deal wisely and have good success. So He's not telling them to have courage. He's not telling them to be strong and to be courageous in physical war. He's talking about the war that's taking place within every human being to do right or do wrong. He's talking about the war that takes place inside of everybody to honor God or to honor yourself. That's the war He's talking about. He's saying, Joshua, if you'll be strong and courageous. And He goes on to say, talks about the book. He says, don't let it stop coming out of your mouth. Otherwise, know my word so well, you speak it. Know my word so well, you think about it. You meditate on my word. You speak my word. And that will cause you to act on my word. When you speak it and meditate on it. He said, and when you do that, everywhere you go, you will be successful. He said to him later, he said before and after, He tells him twice, He says, everywhere you put your foot will belong to you. But it had nothing to do with the outside battle of fighting giants, fighting walled cities like Jericho. He said, if you'll win the battle from within, then you'll win all the battles from without. But you have to win the battle from within. Paul said, man, there's a war taking place within me. St. Paul said, there's a war taking place within me. There's a war. There's a war taking place within us that determines what happens on the outside of us. Jesus Christ, He came to say this, I love you so much. I love you so much that I stepped out of heaven to die for you. I love you that much. There's an old story about a guy in a prison camp. There's 20 men digging a ditch. And the prison guard said, okay, put your shovels up and then go stand against the wall. And he counted the shovels. And he only came up with a 19 count. And so he said, I want someone to step forward who stole that shovel. No one stepped forward. He said, if someone doesn't step forward right now, I'm going to line up 10 of you and shoot them. If someone doesn't step forward, a young man, very quietly, he stepped forward. They immediately grabbed him, took him to a field in front of all the other prisoners, shot him dead.